What is up, math superstars? So in this edition of Mr. Peterson Presents, I'm bringing to you how to subtract fractions and mixed numbers. And so as always, I give you some simple steps here to follow. So step number one, we need to rename the fractions to include a common denominator. In step number two, we're going to go ahead and subtract the fractions. Now, if you cannot subtract the fractions, so say if you have a fraction like 2/4 minus 3/4, you're going to rename the whole number as well. And I'll explain the steps on how to do that. And number three, then you're going to subtract the whole numbers. And last but not least, you're going to simplify if necessary. So let's go ahead and try example number one here. So our very first step is we're going to rename the fractions to include a common denominator. So my common denominator is 6. So let's go ahead and rewrite both of these mixed numbers now. So 2 times 3 gives us 6. So 1 times 3 is 3. And don't forget about that whole number. And we have bring down our subtraction sign. And now let's do the second mixed number. So 3 times 2 gives us 6. So 1 times 2 gives us 2. And we bring down our whole number. So step one is done. Little smiley face. Step number two, let's go ahead and subtract our fractions. So for this one, 3/6 minus 2/6 equals 1/6. So we did that. That subtraction worked out nice. So give yourself a smiley face. So now let's go ahead and subtract our whole numbers. So 6 minus 2 is equal to 4. Give yourself a smiley face for step three. And last but not least, we're going to simplify. And good news for us, our fraction is simplified. So we can say that 6 1/2 minus 2 1/3 gives us 4 1/6. So now let's try example number two. So example number two, our very first step is let's go ahead and rename our fractions to include a common denominator. So our common denominator of 2 and 4 is 4. So let's go and rewrite both mixed numbers now. So 2 times 2 gives us 4. So 1 times 2 is 2. And don't forget about that whole number. So now 4 times what gives us 4? So 4 times 1 times 1, just for the sake of the steps. So we have 3/4 and we bring down our whole number. So step number one is completed. Step number two, let's go and subtract our fractions now. So 2/4 minus 3/4 gives us, and you go, what do I do? This is where we're going to go ahead and borrow from the whole number. So this is what borrowing from the whole looks like. So what's going to happen is I'm going to borrow one whole from, we're going to focus on 6 2/4 to borrow from a whole. The way we do this, we're going to take away a whole number. So we take that away. So 6 becomes a 5. And now 2/4 is going to be 2 plus 4, which is our denominator, over 4. And so when we borrow from the whole, that number is equal to 5 6/4. And you go, wait a second, that's an improper fraction there. Because what we need, though, is we need this improper fraction if we're going to take away 2 3/4. So now, because we borrowed from the whole, now we can go ahead and subtract our fractions. So 6/4 minus 3/4 is 3/4. And then let's go ahead and subtract our whole numbers. So 5 minus 2 gives us 3. And good news for us, after all of our hard work, it is already simplified. So with renaming the whole, which is the step that we do in example number 2, we can come up with a solution of 3 3/4.